The No Kings protests are, well, they're really something else. Definitely one of the biggest mass movements we've seen in, I don't know, a generation.
Oh, easily. Millions of people, right?
Millions taking to the streets all at once. And the scale, rallying in, over 2,700 places, all united by this single message, rejecting absolute authority. It's kind of staggering when you think about it.
Absolutely staggering. The coordination alone is remarkable.
Exactly, and that's what jumped out when we started digging into the sources you sent over. A pattern started to emerge, This wasn't just a political statement. It felt more like a test case. A test for how power works now, here in the 21st century. The fight for democracy. It used to be, public squares, ballot boxes.
Traditional arenas, yeah.
But it seems like it's fundamentally shifted. The sources suggest the new battleground is big data and the weapons, algorithms.
That's absolutely the core conflict we're seeing. We're looking at No Kings not just as like a series of protests, but as this really critical high-stakes test for modern democracy. It's become this undeniable digital arms race.
An arms race between who?
Well, what the sources make crystal clear is that both sides are in it. You've got the grassroots organizers, who are incredibly decentralized.
Okay.
And then you have the established government security agencies. And both are using increasingly sophisticated AI tools.
And not just for sending out emails or tweets, I gather.
Oh, far beyond that.
Yeah.
They're not just mobilizing or, on the flip side, suppressing. They are actively using this tech to try and sculpt political reality itself, to shape the narrative, shape the action on the ground.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's start with the organizers, the revolutionaries, if you will.
Sure.
We often have this image, maybe a bit romantic, of protests just bubbling up spontaneously. Pure public anger just bursting out.
Yeah, the organic uprising idea.
Right. But coordinating 2,700 effective protests all happening at the same time, that takes serious operational skill. You can't just do that with a viral hashtag, can you?
Not at that scale, no.
Yeah.
Not effectively, anyway.
This level of logistical efficiency, it points to something much more structured. And the sources seem to suggest the hidden organizer, the maestro behind it all, might actually be artificial intelligence.
It's definitely moved way beyond just simple social media calls to action. The success of a movement like No Kings, it really hinges on AI, providing what some of our sources are calling organization optimization.
Organization optimization?
Yeah. You asked how they handle 2,700 locations. Well, it seems algorithms and hashtags are acting as. The research calls them datafied mediators.
Hold on. Datafied mediators, what does that actually mean? Are you saying the algorithm is like the new leader telling people where to go? Could you maybe break that down for the listener?
Okay, think of it like this. Traditional movements often relied on, specific charismatic leaders or established groups.
Right. Unions, political parties, that sort of thing.
Exactly. A datafied mediator, though, it's a piece of tech. It crunches millions of data points. Who's connected to whom, what people care about, where they are geographically.
Okay.
And then it dynamically connects the right people with the right information, precisely when they need it. It kind of reshapes the whole leadership dynamic.
Right.
It prioritizes efficiency and reach over that old top-down hierarchy.
So it lets organizers quickly pinpoint not just general areas, but specific points of interest and find the best gathering spots.
Exactly. Spots that maximize visibility, maybe minimize risk. It's about optimizing the physical presence.
Wow. That sounds like precision engineering applied to political anger, which I guess brings us to the emotional fuel, sentiment analysis. Organizers aren't just guessing what works anymore, are they?
No, not at all. Sentiment analysis is incredibly powerful here. It goes way beyond just counting likes or shares on a post.
How so?
Well, these models process enormous amounts of online conversation posts, comments, articles, and they identify which specific stories, which angles, which words even generate the strongest emotional responses, like raw outrage or maybe deep empathy.
So they find the exact emotional buttons to push.
Pretty much. They figure out the precise lever needed to get someone from feeling something online to actually taking action offline.
Which leads right into this idea of hyper-focused messaging, micro-targeting, but for activists.
Exactly.
So instead of just a general call like, get angry about issue X, they're converting very specific, measured digital feelings into actual physical action. Feet on the street. That efficiency feels unprecedented.
It really is. You're turning that digital anger or passion directly into mobilization. And we've seen this play out elsewhere, right? The sources mentioned protests in Kenya,
Ah, yes, I remember reading that.
where strategic use of AI tools apparently helped organizers keep the momentum going for a long time. long after that initial spark might have faded otherwise.
So it's about managing the movement's energy,
Yeah.
preventing burnout, keeping people engaged.
Yes, exactly. Ensuring that continuous cycle of mobilization. It's not just starting the fire, it's keeping it burning strategically.
Okay, and then there's the purely physical side, moving people. You mentioned the 2,700 locations again. That level of coordination needs serious planning. What tools are they using to get people moving safely and effectively?
Right. That's where something called optimal logistics AI seems to come into play. This isn't your grandpa's protest planning with maps and megaphones.
Yeah, probably not.
Organizing across 2,700 spots simultaneously.
Yeah.
It's more like running a massive real-time supply chain operation. But the goods are human beings.
Wow. How does that work?
Well, the algorithms act like this incredibly efficient air traffic controller, but for people on the ground.
Yeah.
They analyze real-time traffic data, population density maps, even unpredictable stuff like sudden weather changes.
To do what?
To instantly figure out the safest routes for protesters to take, to coordinate where medical teams or maybe de-escalation volunteers need to be, and crucially, to pinpoint the optimal locations for rallies, places that get maximum media attention or have high symbolic value.
So it makes the whole thing look smooth, effortless almost.
Exactly. It gives the movement this appearance of almost invincible efficiency and coordination.
What's fascinating here is, well, you think about the First Amendment, the right to free expression, assembly. It's like the bedrock of democracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's being augmented, supercharged almost, by this technical efficiency that, the Founding Fathers couldn't have even dreamed of. This tech is making civic action faster, more precise, way beyond traditional methods.
It truly is a paradigm shift in mobilization capability.
But that efficiency, it must be genuinely terrifying if you're part of the established power structure.
Oh, absolutely.
It suggests that resistance can now scale up faster than traditional ways of responding to it, so flipping the coin. If the digital revolutionaries are using this sophisticated AI, how is the other side, the security agencies, intelligence services, how are they adapting?
They are adapting aggressively. And they have their own massive technological arsenal geared towards surveillance and counter-response. A big part of that is predictive policing and analysis.
Predictive policing, I've heard that term. But hang on, if they have predictive tools, why didn't they just shut down No Kings before it even started? Can this tech really predict things that accurately?
That's a really important distinction. Predictive analysis isn't like a crystal ball. It's not perfect.
Okay.
But what it does is shift the strategy. These systems crunch huge amounts of data, historical arrest patterns, social media chatter, economic indicators, past protest behavior.
Right.
And they try to forecast the likelihood of protests erupting, or maybe specific types of incidents happening in certain areas. It allows security forces to be more proactive.
Proactive how?
By deploying resources preemptively, maybe targeting specific neighborhoods, maybe focusing on individuals identified as key organizers before a big event is supposed to happen. It's more about managing risk zones, identifying potential flashpoints, rather than stopping every single gathering.
I see. But the sources also talk about direct surveillance tools, which sound, frankly, a lot more invasive, not just predicting general unrest, but tracking individuals.
Precisely. And this is where it gets concerning. The sources highlight the widespread deployment of facial recognition systems.
In public cameras.
Yes, in fixed cameras, but also potentially integrated into mobile surveillance units.
Yeah.
Drones, maybe body cams.
And the goal?
The sources suggest the goal is often to build these really extensive databases, identifying key organizers, sure, but maybe also just cataloging anyone who attends a protest, creating this huge digital record of politically active citizens.
Just for showing up.
That's the fear. And this lines up with warnings we've seen from groups like the Brookings Institution, specifically looking at the U.S. context.
What do you warn about?
They raise red flags about potential government contracts being used to monitor social media platforms.
Okay.
And then using AI algorithms to categorize citizens based purely on their political speech, their rhetoric, their stated beliefs online.
Wait, categorizing people based on ideology? Using AI?
That's the concern they raised, which moves way beyond just preventing violence or crime. It starts to look like ideological classification, which is, deeply troubling path for a democratic society.
Yeah, that sounds really problematic. So if direct surveillance doesn't stop a movement, what's next? The sources mentioned digital disruption.
Right. If you can't stop the mobilization, maybe you try to disrupt the message itself, flood the zone with digital chaos.
How?
This is where AI-driven disinformation and counter-narratives come in. With generative AI now, it's become much easier to create incredibly convincing fake content.
Like deep fakes or fake news articles.
Both, potentially. But also fake social media accounts, bots, that look and sound like real people, and you can create them at an unprecedented scale and speed.
And the purpose of flooding the space.
The tactic is usually to just overwhelm the real information, to rapidly spread misinformation, conflicting stories, anything to erode the credibility of the actual organizers.
So you make people doubt what they're hearing from the movement itself.
Exactly. So confusion, so division among the protesters. If people can't trust the information channels, the movement can grind to a halt. It creates friction.
And the sources detailed something even more sci-fi sounding. Automated counter-protests. That sounds different from just spreading fake news.
It is genuinely alarming. It's moving beyond just bots arguing online. Imagine algorithms not just spitting out counter-arguments, but actually organizing simulated opposition online.
Simulated opposition, like fake protest groups.
Sort of. Highly targeted online campaigns designed to confuse the real demonstrators, dilute the movement's message, make it look like there's massive internal disagreement, or that the opposition is much larger than it is. It basically turns the digital space into this automated chaos machine designed to exhaust and demoralize the actual movement.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've got both sides using sophisticated tech. Activists using AI for peak mobilization efficiency, and security forces using AI for surveillance, prediction, and suppression. This feels like it's moved beyond just political disagreements or protest tactics.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds like it's becoming a battle over who owns and controls the underlying technology, the infrastructure itself.
That is precisely the crux of this digital arms race. The struggle for power seems to be shifting away from, traditional institutions like legislatures or even the streets,
And towards
the entities that own the data infrastructure, the servers, the platforms, the fiber optic cables, and crucially, the powerful algorithms that can make sense of all that data. Political power is migrating towards technological control.
And you have to consider, most of these platforms where organizing happens, social media, messaging apps, they're privately owned, aren't they?
Overwhelmingly, which adds another layer of complexity. The power to enable or shut down a movement could literally rest with whoever controls the admin passwords to that data stream, whether that's the company itself or a government compelling the company.
So we're facing this deep paradox, aren't we, with technology and democracy. AI has this incredible, almost unbelievable potential to support democracy by enabling mass mobilization on a scale and speed never seen before, creating movements that can bypass old logistical limits.
Absolutely. It empowers collective action in new ways.
At the exact same time, because those tools are so powerful, they carry this huge and apparently growing risk that could amplify digital authoritarianism.
That's the danger. The very same technology that enables the protest can be turned around and used for incredibly comprehensive surveillance and control by the state, or potentially by powerful private actors who own the infrastructure.
It really raises a fundamental question then. What happens to civil liberties? Privacy, free speech, assembly? When democracy itself turns into this complex technical fight between competing AI systems?
It's a critical question, and the sources seem to point to a rather stark conclusion. The authority, whether it's government or corporate, that has the most efficient algorithms, the most comprehensive data, they're likely going to hold the upper hand.
The upper hand in what?
In determining the fate of protests, certainly, but maybe even in shaping the entire political discourse. We are all, in a very real way, becoming data points in this much larger power struggle. It's less about ideology, perhaps, and more about data supremacy.
So the No Kings protests,
Yeah.
they started as this powerful symbol of rejecting absolute top-down power.
Yes.
But maybe they inadvertently highlighted the real conflict of our century. This battle for control over data and algorithms. It's like the fight for freedom itself is becoming an advanced technical optimization problem.
It certainly seems that way. And it leaves us, and you, the listener, with a really provocative thought to wrestle with long after this deep dive is over.
What's that?
Well, think about it. If the efficiency of AI allows movements like No Kings to scale faster and mobilize more effectively than ever before, but it also allows surveillance systems to track, predict, and potentially disrupt them with near-perfect precision. Will the very technology that made such movements possible also be the tool that's ultimately used to extinguish all future grassroots challenges to power?
Wow.
Does this technology fundamentally protect democracy in the long run, or does it just accelerate the path towards a more efficient, data-driven tyranny?
Something